أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
يا قومنا أجيبوا داعي الله وآمنوا به يغفر لكم من ذنوبكم ويجركم من عذاب أليم. ومن لا يجب داعي الله فليس بمعجز في الأرض وليس له من دونه أولياء أولئك في ضلال مبين.
صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم.
If we just address that in the case of the Quran, right? One of the ways that Dr. York liked to create confusion amongst people, right? Dr. York, who was the founder of the Ansarullah community in New York and other parts of the States. That was popular for a period of time, and Muslims were deluded into thinking that they were actually Muslims, and they sat on the council, of masjids in New York and so and so. And I wrote a book on them called The Ansar Cult in America, exposing them to be not from Islam at all. But in fact, they were enemies of Islam. I exposed their beliefs, taking it right out of their books and comparing what Islam says, what they said, and that basically, alhamdulillah, blew them out of the water. After that, they fell apart. Not before admitting, Dr. York said that, they really weren't Muslims anyway, they were really Jews, and then he changed his name to Rabbi Reuben, and, he went into the Jewish thing, right? Anyway, the point is that, why was I telling you that? Oh yeah. One of the ways that he would like to create confusion amongst the Sunni Muslims to draw them into his net is he would take the translation of Yusuf Ali, he would take Fatiha, then he would take Pickthall, then he would take about 5, 6, 7, 8 different translations, and he would show them one after the other. Look at this. These people don't know Arabic, and they're this, that, and the other. So then he started his own mistranslation of the Quran, right? So he created his own. So he locked his followers into following him by claiming that the others were mistranslating the Quran, and that's why there are all these differences among them. The reality is that, of course, when you're translating, as I said, translation of the Quran cannot be done. We cannot translate the Quran. All we can do is write in English some of the meanings of the Arabic. So in fact, what we call translation is just a tafsir in English of some of the meanings. That's all it is. Similarly, if you're going to translate a hadith, that's what you're going to do. You'll make a sharh. Instead of tafsir, the Arabic term they use for explanation is sharh. You do a kind of a sharh in English. Because if you translate hadiths word for word, you can create all kinds of confusion. And that's exactly what Dr. York did. He gave you the word for word meaning, and then he started sticking it together this way and that way, and he came up with a whole nother story altogether. So in translation, one has to look at the commentaries of the scholars on the hadith to understand, similarly to understand the Quran. So what you're going to put in English will be the closest that you can come to explain the meaning of the Arabic. That's the bottom line.
So Muslims, if we want to change this society, if we want to change the direction of this society, if we want to affect this society, we have to first reform ourselves.
والحق يحشد أجناده ويعتد للموقف الفاصل والحق يحشد أجناده ويعتد للموقف الفاصل، فصفوا الجحافل آساده ودكوا به دولة الباطل. فصفوا الجحافل آساده ودكوا به دولة الباطل. نبي الهدى قد جفونا الكرى وعفنا الشهية من المطعم. نبي الهدى قد جفونا الكرى وعفنا الشهية من المطعم. نهضنا إلى الله نجل السرى بروعات قرآنه المحكم.